Well, I have to tell you, Sarah, I'm pretty excited about today's episode because, as summer is winding down, there's a lot of different changes happening in the community. And one of the biggest changes we're seeing going into the new school year is actually at the district.
Yes.
So longtime superintendent Andy Spring has moved on. He is now with Mohawk Schools. Mm-hmm. And good for Andy. He gave a lot of years to the Fostoria School District. And so after a search, they found a local
I know, that's exciting.
candidate, which is very exciting. And I hear it was very competitive.
I did hear
But
that.
this individual came out ahead. He wowed the school board as a whole. They're still talking about it.
I mean, the buzz is everywhere.
I know. I can't go anywhere without hearing the name of the new superintendent,
Yes.
who we happen to have with us today.
We are very excited. So welcome to the one and only Jason Longbrake. Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
You are very
It's exciting.
welcome.
My first podcast.
Oh.
Not that I've listened to, but that I've been on. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh,
goodness.
This is very exciting for all of us.
It has.
Yes.
I've been thinking about it.
This could be life changing for you. You might start your
Next
own.
step. Yes. It's like
Just throwing out an idea there for you.
I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone will want to listen to the superintendent.
You would be shocked.
Really?
The number of
Okay.
people.
I think so. I think we could be onto something. You can
Okay.
make students produce it. No pressure.
No
we
pressure.
Just, sorry.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, move on.
I mean, we did give the tour to the new educators
You
yesterday at the
did.
Learning Center. We're like,
That's
we
great.
like new creative ideas.
Yes.
So apparently we like to throw them out too. Take
Awesome.
it, leave it. We will not be offended.
We won't.
It's
I'll
fine.
take
But we
Anyway.
appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule as school is ramping up very quickly to begin. So I guess I would ask first to give us a little background on yourself.
On myself. Okay. Well, I am from Fostoria. I graduated in 1992. I left to attend the Ohio State University, so I'm a graduate of the Ohio State University. And then I lived in Columbus for a while, and then I came back to kind of do a second career in education. I didn't start out that way. I have a degree in fisheries and wildlife management at Ohio State. So,
Oh.
Really?
natural resources.
So
yeah,
what were you planning on? I'm going to interrupt you several
No,
times.
it's
I'm
fine.
so sorry.
good.
What were you planning on doing with that?
When I worked, I did an internship at a fish hatchery for the Department of Natural Resources Division of Wildlife, and then I wanted to move out west and be like a
Like a park
ranger. Yeah.
Okay.
Or get a graduate degree and be a biologist, fisheries biologist with the Division of Wildlife. But anyway,
Okay.
that was back in the late 90s, and that's when nobody was hiring and there weren't any jobs to be found.
Okay.
So I had always wanted to be a teacher, and actually I started at Ohio State in social studies education.
Okay.
So but then I changed it. Anyway, so I moved back here in 2005, 2006, and got a degree in education from Bowling Green State University. And then I got my master's in Bowling Green State University. And I started out at Old Fort. I was a teacher there for 1 year. And then I I got a job in Swanton, Ohio, which is literally 1 hour from my doorstep. So I moved I stayed here in Fostoria, but I drove for 13 years. I drove to Swanton, Ohio as a teacher
Okay.
and then as a principal.
So what did you teach?
Social studies. So I taught
Okay.
government,
I wasn't
American
sure if you
history,
went
yeah.
back to that science and biology
No,
route.
no,
Okay.
no.
You're very diverse
I
with
am
your
very diverse.
interests.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. So
I have a lot of random.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. So I was there, and it's a great community, and I was there 13 years, so it was great. And then this opportunity came up, and I had my superintendent. I went back and got my superintendent's license, and this was kind of the one place that I thought I could make a difference in that. It's close to home, and I know some of the folks, and so it was kind of cool. So that came about, and here we are. Okay, random question.
Okay, as a social studies teacher, what were some of your favorite things to teach in for your students?
And what grade level did you teach?
So high school. So
Okay,
I
you
have a
taught high
7-12.
school.
I
Okay.
have a 7-12 licensure. World War II is it's usually really interesting. You can get a lot of things from World War II. So I would say probably World War II. I loved that because and government. Government's great, especially
gosh, you're
this time of year. Government
Speaking
teachers.
Renee's language right
Yeah.
now.
Talk to me.
Yeah, so government, especially in an election year, can get pretty interesting. Especially these last 8 to 12 to 16 years have been like prime government and social studies teachers material. So
Yes.
and getting kids interested and getting them registered to vote and So it's been good. And nowadays with, when we were kids, your parents just voted and you didn't know anything about politics. Well, now it's on TV, it's on social media, everybody's a little more, so the kids are a little more involved. And so yeah, I took government and American history, and then I think I taught AP, U.S. history, so the whole gamut of things, freshman history at Old Fort, so yeah. So it's very different going from Old Fort to Swanton to now Fostoria. I've kind of hit the gamut of Northwest Ohio and different demographics and stuff. So
because Old Fort's like a little bit smaller. What is the enrollment at Swanton? What's the approximate size?
It's 1,175, 180. So you say 1,200, whereas Fostoria is 18, fluctuates between 17 and 1,900. So, it's kind of that progression. I've kind of gone from really, really, really tiny. This was before they even consolidated with Bettsville to Swanton and now to Fostoria. So it's just getting a little bit bigger and a little more diverse. And so, yeah, that's my journey.
It's a nice journey.
It is a nice journey.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we live in Fostoria. My wife's Sansony. It's Sansony. And she is a mental health and addictions therapist in Tiffin.
Okay.
Yes. And she was an educator as well. She taught high school in California for 9 years after graduating from the Ohio State University. She moved out there and taught. Again, back when you couldn't get a teaching job to save your life, back in the mid-90s. So she went to Southern California and then moved back here and taught at BGSU for, I think she taught there 9 years at BGSU in the College of Education. So, and now she got another degree. So we have a lot of degrees. We have a lot of.
You're a very smart household.
No, well, she is incredibly intelligent. But anyway, so she's a mental health and addictions therapist. So she works over in Tiffin. I'm at a private practice, and we have stories. Because we have stories every day. But the good thing is she understands education because she taught for 9 years, and then she taught teachers at BGSU. So she knows the gig of what teachers go through and what teachers do. So that's nice to come home to when your wife knows exactly. She's been there, she's done that. So that helps out a lot.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, you saw that the opportunity became available in Fostoria, and you knew it was a place you could come and make a difference. What else drew you to the district? What attracted you to that position?
I think that a lot of things. I mean, the facilities, number one, are incredible. If people haven't been through our buildings yet, and even our football stadium, or they need to come check it out because it's incredible. So that's one. The facilities are there. I mean, the kids have opportunities. The students have opportunities for anything really. I mean, even here at the Learning Center, I mean, you can do a CCP here and not have to drive to another town. So that's great. So the facilities are second to none, and the people. And you say that's cliche, right? Like the people, but it's true. Like everybody I've worked with so far are just. I mean, they're there for the kids. That's their number one. And so the people. I mean, and then just the familiarity with everything. I lived. I went to high school here. I've lived here more than half of my life. So it's. I know. What kids are going through. I know. And then the easy part of if a kid says, well, I had to go babysit at this house on this street, I know where that street is. So, it's like, why weren't you at school today? Well, I had to babysit somebody till 2 a.m. on, whatever street. Okay. So sometimes it is nice to get out, and some people say I'm an insider from the outside. And I think that's kind of true because, when you're a high school principal, and if you're a good high school principal, that kind of tends to be your life. And so, being from Swanton, where I was a high school principal, there were times when there was a basketball game. We always cursed, and don't get mad at me, freshmen or JV coaches, but when a freshman or JV game went into like triple overtime, because then you're looking at 8:30 at night, and the varsity game hasn't started yet, and you have that hour drive home still. So I'm not gonna lie, that was a great perk too, because you get home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and then you got to get up at 5:30 to be, and you got to be ready to rock and roll, with the bright on, because that's the difference between, I really think. That's something I'm getting used to. The board office, I call it the board office, administrative central office. It's so quiet, everybody's just doing their job. And, in high school, you walk in that door and it's just like, here we go. You don't have time to drink a cup of coffee or, because you got, my secretary, I tell a funny story. I would come in the side door and all I hear probably 3 or 4 days out of the week was, is that him? Is that him? And I knew that was code, and she would give me the look, and I knew to, at least get in my office and take my coat off, you know. And so it's a little bit so being that, coming here to Fostoria where it's a 6-minute drive to work, and there's no traffic. Normally there's no traffic.
And it's not bad traffic.
And it's not bad traffic. No, it's not 475 building a new bridge over the Maumee River traffic.
Yes.
No, it's not. So I kind of rambled there, but I mean, there's just so many opportunities. You go into Legacy Hall, and I see these names on the walls of kids I went to school with, and I see teachers that I had, and I don't want to say it means more, but I think it does. It means more because if you live in a community where you work and where you know people, I think, I don't want to say there's more pressure, but you can't drive an hour home and you don't ever see anybody, right? When you go to Kroger, that's where you're at, and you see a lot of people. So, but that'll be fun because, you know, sometimes I always talk about creating relationships, building relationships, creating a culture where it's people know you care. And I think if you're hiding from people and you're not, you know, you're staying away from people, they'll automatically think, oh, well, he's very standoffish. He's, you know, whatever. So you know, my wife says a lot of times, I said, I don't want to go to Kroger today. And she's like, get over yourself. That's her main, so it's get over yourself. So anyway.
Because sometimes, you know, you just got to run in for like 1 or 2 things, and it's an hour later, and you're still there because maybe you ran into somebody in the store, and then the parking lot,
But that's part of the job. That's the gig, right?
Is.
I mean,
it's
you're
part of being in the community.
In the community, yeah. And if you want to, you know, sit behind a desk all day and type and not talk to anybody, there are jobs for that. But in this, you can't do that. And I think you're doing a disservice to the community as well if you're not out there and have your face. You know, when I was a principal, my superintendent, Chris Lake, he's one of my mentors, and we had a challenge every year. Who could get to 100 events, high school events only first, you know, and then we had this. So, I mean, we were like, it was like an all-out battle in the spring to get to 100 events. But if you think about it, you know, 100 isn't a lot, but 100's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, especially schools only in session 183
That's what
days.
I was going to say. It's like a 180-day window.
Yeah. So
that's
you're
impressive.
at an event almost every night. So, but for me, I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, somebody said it's hard to do that, but sometimes when you're at an event and we have kids who, you know, for whatever reason, they don't have anybody there to watch them. Sometimes if you're the only one that says, hey, I saw you at the game last night, you know, that was awesome. You know, that might be the difference between them playing next year or not playing next year or coming to school the next day because, oh, you know. So it's kind of cliche, but I've found that it's really true. Like, kids know. They know. Yeah. They know if you're there, you know. And that's just with anything really, but sorry. Okay.
So you made the transition from teacher to principal, and now you're making the transition from principal to superintendent. I feel like since you're sitting on a couch, this is a small therapy session. Is there anything,
he might be used to that. I don't know.
Is there anything about that transition from principal to superintendent that you find at all intimidating or maybe gives you pause? Or are you just like, bring it on?
Oh yeah, bring it on for sure. Because I never, and I think anybody you talk to, Swanton, my wife, anybody, you know, I'm never going to sit in a room and say I'm the smartest guy in the room. And if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably doing something wrong. Just because, you know, you got to surround yourself with good people. So I think we can check that box off because we have incredible staff and central office folks. I mean, I just kind of sit back, you know, this last couple of weeks and just listen and see. So pause. The only thing that would concern me, and I think, but I can handle that and I can make that different, is just seeing the kids, you know, because, you know, a lot of times we say the easiest part of your day is the kids. It is. I mean, the adults are the tough part. You know, that's how kids are kids, and I've said that no matter if they're Fostoria kids or they're Finley kids or they're Tiffin kids or Upper Sandusky kids. Kids are kids, and they want to know that you care, and they want to know that you're there. And so, for me, you know, we as a principal, my assistant principal and I, Mr. Mena, I mean, we pushed a trash can around the cafeteria pretty much every day. You know, just that's how we ate. You know, we have one hand on the trash can, and then we have our lunch in the other hand. And if you mix it, well, here's the thing: don't mix it up because then you realize I had my hand in that trash can, and now I switched, and now I got my hand in my sandwich.
But you have a really strong immune system.
Yes, I do.
It's gonna be
so,
okay.
But it's like that kind of thing that that's the thing that kind of gives me pause a little bit is as I have to make time to be able to be in the schools, and I know, and you know, things like this. You know, principals normally you don't see a lot of. So you're taking time to do that. So once school starts, I do want to make it priority to get in the buildings and
Yes.
see the teachers too. The kids, you know, I don't remember even who my superintendent was in high school. I really don't. I have no clue. But I think the teachers would, and you know, my aunt, she taught at Lima Senior for 30 years at Lima Senior, and I just talked to her yesterday. She called and I asked her for some advice, you know, because she's a very smart lady, and she said, teachers don't want to hear you talk. They don't. They just want to see you do. So just do. Don't get up there and give a 30-minute presentation on the first day. Don't, you know, teachers don't want that. You know, they just want you to do, not say. So I can do that because, you know, I don't want to get up and talk in front of people for 30 minutes anyway. So that, I think that, just the kids part, I'm going to have to make sure. But, you know, we've already been to a tennis match. We've already been to a football scrimmage. And so, and then we have to meet the team on Thursday night, so in the green space, so that'll be fun. So we'll still do that because that's the best, in my opinion, that's the best part of the job, are the extracurriculars and going and watching the kids perform and do their thing.
It's interesting. You said I don't remember who my superintendent was in school, so immediately my mind went back to who was the superintendent? And I do remember, but the reason I remember who it was is because he was at all the sporting events and things.
Yeah.
That's where you saw him. So it's interesting that that's been your philosophy as well.
Yeah, and I think education and the role of especially administrators has changed a little bit. You know, when you were in high school, when I was in high school, you know, your principal stood in the hallway with his 3-piece suit on and just
nodded at you,
and you were scared and you walked away. And now you have to be, I mean, administrators, I think they have to be part of the culture, and I think that's the biggest thing when you talk any school district, and I've talked to people all the time, is the culture. You know, it's the culture. You want kids to want to come. That needs to be the best part of their day, is coming to school. Because, and we'll blame COVID again, but, you know, COVID kind of changed things a little bit to where absence and kids, you know, some kids thought, oh, I can just do stuff from home. This is great. And I don't have any, you know, I can wake up at noon and, you know. So getting that culture to where kids know they're cared for and it's a safe place. And teachers too. I mean, it's not just kids, it's the teachers need to know. You know, we all work harder when we know we're appreciated. So that's a goal of mine too. And not that it didn't happen before, but, you know, that's the biggest thing. I had another veteran teacher from Upper Sandusky, and she said, just hand out candy bars once in a while. You wouldn't believe how many teachers like candy bars.
Fabulous idea.
And I'm like, okay,
Happy
so
Tuesday.
Yeah. So we got a cart full of candy bars and rolled them around, and you know, I got more thanks for that than most things. So anyway, that's so it gives me pause. Yeah, not being around the kids as much, but I think I'll make sure that happens. So.
What makes you most excited about the transition to principal to superintendent?
You took my question, Sarah.
Oh.
You're welcome. I knew it was coming. I just wanted to steal your thunder.
Let's say, I guess just the new things. You know, new things. I know there's going to be meetings. That's what you do. But I remember when I went into superintendent school, when I was getting my license, and they said 30 years ago, the number one, they would say the number one job of a superintendent is just pass a levy. That's all you got to do. You know, that's your number one job. And that was 30, 40 years ago. And now so many things have changed with just education's changing so much, and knowing what's changing and what you need to do, and funding and grants and new graduation requirements. I mean, there's so many new things that people don't realize education is happening in education. And so you got to keep up with all of that. So I just think meeting the people and doing new things. You know, as a principal, sometimes you're starting to do, you kind of, I don't say get into a rut, but you know, I remember my first year as principal on the graduation day, I was so nervous and I was sweating, and I had my mouth was dry and I was afraid. And by year 9, I'm just like, it's today's graduation, you know? So we got up and came and did the graduation, you know? So it's those things where you start to get a little bit comfortable. And so I think just a new challenges. Yeah. So, and then meeting new people. I mean, the folks I've worked with, some of my best friends, probably most of my best friends I have met through education or through going to school with them as part of education. So you become a family almost, you know, when you're, I mean, you guys know this, when you're at work and you work 50, 60 hours a week with the same people over and over, sometimes you see them more than you see your family. So that's exciting, getting to know people. And so far, everybody's been great. It's been, knock on wood, it's been awesome. So, right?
Good.
So you've mentioned culture several times.
Yes.
So if I had to venture a guess, and if I'm wrong, please tell me.
Okay.
But I would venture a guess that one of your top priorities going into this role is around culture.
Yes. True. And so I guess how do you? I'm sure there's 10 million different ways to define culture. I think if you start with the students, the biggest thing is the kids need to know that we care about them. At the end of the day, my philosophy when I was a high school principal was I want every kid to leave ready to be successful at something. And we did the 3 E's: enroll, employ, enlist. So enroll in college, get a job, or enlist in a military service or a trade or something. So I think I want kids to know that there is a reason they're at school, and it doesn't have to be to everybody's going to go get a job right after school. Some folks want to go to college, and vice versa. So I want kids to be able to know that when they're coming to Fostoria Schools, for whatever reason, there's a reason. And everybody that's there truly cares about them. They're going to hold them accountable. I've heard that term a lot too when we talk about culture, is accountability and holding people accountable, students as well as staff. But just, it's better to go to work, I'll say this as a staff, and it's better to go to school when you know that it's welcoming and you're going to have fun. And that's the other thing too, is just having fun. Some people have bad memories of school, right? Like, I would never go back to high school. Oh, that was the worst time of my life. And I don't want it to be like that, but we all know. I mean, that time period, especially junior high to high school,
it's awkward.
It's awkward to say the least. So, but there are so many opportunities. And we've talked about this with the school board before, and Nikki Jones, we talked to her about the different opportunities that kids can have. I don't want to open a can of worms here, but like esports. I know when we opened esports at Swan, kids that did not participate in anything, they came out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden you could tell their mindset had changed, and we held them accountable in terms of to be eligible. So then their grades improved because kids play video games.
Yep.
And so when we started this esports program up there, a lot of those students that weren't engaged and kind of were going through the motions, we saw them kind of almost come alive a little bit. So that was cool. But the culture, I think it starts at the top. It starts with the school board, it starts with the superintendent, the administrators, but everybody needs to know that we care. Just I always ask teachers, everybody wants more money, right? We could all take a pay raise. I mean, nobody says, yeah, I make too much money, So, but that's a finite resource.
I'd like to try having that problem, but anyway.
Yeah. So that's a finite resource. So nobody gets paid what they're worth. We all know that. So what are some other things that we can do to, and time again, it's that the students and the teachers, they just want to know that, you care. I was just talking to somebody the other day. I have a teacher at Swan, and his name's Josh Shepard, and I never ever once had a parent or student say they didn't like him. And as well as I do, there's always that teacher. I mean, nobody likes every teacher. And his biggest thing was he just cared for the kids. He was unorthodox at times. I mean, you could hear him coming down the hallway, and sometimes I was like, oh, I don't know if you could do that. But I never had a complaint. I never had, and nobody ever failed his class, once in a while, but, kids loved it, and they loved, and he's the one they always ask, hey, can you speak at graduation, And so that's the thing, is these kids, when I say this, kids, they care about learning, but they want to know that you care about them, and sometimes we get lost in that, because come February and March, I call those just the dog days of education. February and March, you're ready for spring break, and you're just tired, and those are the days when the kids really need you the most. And so building that culture up, and so I rambled on about that, but it starts at the top. I want teachers to know we're not here to, this isn't a gotcha. It's I truly want you to do your best, and anything you need, come and see me. And so when you get that from the school board, you get that from the superintendent and your administrators all the way on down. Everybody plays a key role in that, and one of my best. They always said as a principal, you take care of your administrative assistant and your custodian. Those are the two you take care of first. And I had 2 great ones there, and I know that we're going to try to build that a little bit. Not that it's not there already, not that we don't have that, but just bring some excitement and try to get things to where people are excited and celebrate those victories. So I've been trying to. I have my own Twitter. I don't know how I have 2 followers so far, but I think
we can get you a couple more.
Yeah. So anyway,
what's your Twitter handle? What do you want, X?
Man, that's great. Oh yeah, it's X. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, Elon.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He's gonna care. He's gonna listen.
Isn't
He's
he
gonna be
on?
upset.
I think it's at Fostoria Super probably.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, it's up. Anyway, but I like to celebrate that and throw out pictures and stuff, and just, we did the bus tour yesterday, so we put on, we were here, and it was great, and everybody got the tour, and then we went to the Y, and then we went to the library, and then we went out to the football stadium. So just to get people, and I always encourage teachers to send out those positive notes to to parents, because a lot of times the only thing you hear from a kid hears is bad. The parents, what do you do now? So we try to do that to where you notify.
We know, but that's another podcast, Renee, that you got all the bad notes. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'll balance you. I got the good ones. For the most.
But it's true, right? In the school, and some parents don't even answer the phone.
Yeah.
Because they know it's just bad again. So why not good? Why do we only contact parents when things are going bad? Why don't we contact when they're going good? And that really, that does wonders too. That'll build bridges, and that will get you. That will get you a long way for supporting the schools and all that. So, and it's genuine too. It's not something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, I answered that question. Okay.
You did fabulous. So, as we kind of round this out,
okay,
and any of our listeners, is there anything that you want people to know about you? Because some people in the community, but there's a lot of people that don't know you yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, people that haven't met you but tune into the podcast, is there anything you would like them to know, or any kind of a message you would like to put out there?
So about me.
About anything.
You, the district.
Okay.
We try and stay away from politics here, but otherwise it's an open floor.
No politics. I guess being approachable. I really think that's. I'm not good at a lot of things, really not. But I will say, in terms of just talking to people and being approachable, I have no ego. I'm the superintendent. Don't talk to me. Usually when I go to events, and I'm going to be honest, I'm in because I
He likes sneakers.
I do, and my
Little
wife,
inside
it's bad, and I just
Good
got
for
another.
you.
I'm really excited because I've yet to see him in casual attire yet.
Yeah.
So
well, Friday
I want to check out. Oh, I didn't see you
at the
Friday.
football game, and I had.
Okay.
So anyway, I will be at a lot of events, and you can approach me, but I won't be dressed like this at most events. I won't be at athletic events. I've learned a long time ago, dress for the job you want, right? But when I'm outside of school, I'm usually pretty. I love sneakers. I don't know.
So you're a regular guy.
Yeah, you can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am a regular guy. So yes, I am a regular guy, and I have friends that still live here in town, and I have guys that graduated in 92, 93, 91. I have and they would tell you sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm the superintendent of a school district. Like, when did that happen? It's kind of overwhelming a little bit sometimes. But I felt that way as a teacher too. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. And then after a few years, I'm like, well, yeah, you're really good at this. And then you go as the principal, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do? You're asking, what do I do? And then after a few years, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. And I think the bottom line to all of that is just be yourself. Just be yourself. You don't know the answer to everything, but you can find out the answer and be honest with people. We always talk about that in education, having those fierce conversations. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard to sit down and tell somebody, you know what, you got to get better at this. And that's hard to do. But at the same time, when you're in a position like this, that's what you're paid to do. You're paid to make tough decisions. You're not paid to make all the easy decisions. Everybody can do that. Yep. So sometimes you have to say no. But I just tell the teachers, whatever's in the best interest of the kids, that's where we're going to start. And so I'm just a down to earth guy. I'm not. So talk to me, come see. You might not recognize me again. I wear a hat all the time outside of school, and it's usually on backwards. And I just, I'm all at a lot of the events, and I like to sit in the back and just take it all in. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Well, I think I speak for Sarah and I when I say we've both seen you now multiple times, and we concur you are a very approachable guy.
I would 100% agree.
So we would encourage anyone, if they see you out and about, do not hesitate to go up and say hello and introduce yourself.
I do have an identical twin. I'm not lying. So
that's a convenience.
If you yes, but Yes.
Wow.
He lives
You're
in
throwing
Columbus.
me for a
He lives in Columbus.
He lives
so,
in Columbus.
Okay.
But when I visit in Columbus, you wouldn't believe how many times I'm just you know. So anyway, so if you do see, yeah. So
If he's visiting Fostoria,
if he's
there
visiting,
might be,
if there's two
there
of
might
us,
be another
yes,
one.
exactly. So
Oh goodness. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Like Renee said, we've had the opportunity to talk with you a couple of different times, and I'm very excited that you are here and get to stay in Fostoria, have a shorter commute, and you're leaving the district. So
that's awesome.
officially welcome you to Fostoria High School and the school district, and not just high school, the entire district. But yeah, we just hope that you have a wonderful year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. This is great.
Absolutely.
First podcast, killed it.
You did
See?
kill it.
You
You
did
killed
kill
it.
it, and
You slayed this
I
podcast.
still go back to, you're already on Twitter. I
Uh-huh.
think a podcast is the next logical step.
Makes sense.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you
And
guys.
on that note, that will conclude this episode of Shut Up and Listen
Small Town Stories
with Sarah.
and Renee.